Hello, fellow Star Trek fans. Welcome back to a brand new episode of The Dry Dock, the series where myself and the wonderful Captain Goodwill, aka Mike number 2, dive into the Fanhome Star Trek Starships collection. This episode, we are going to be checking out the SS Eleos from Star Trek Picard. So, with that in mind, let's get into it. Now, Mike.
Yes.
Interesting model, this one.
Yes. Yes. So, okay, I love ships. Do not get me wrong. I love ships. I think myself and many other collectors have an issue with this particular depiction of the Eleos.
Yeah.
A very simple issue with the colouring.
Yes.
Of the model.
So the other day, actually, I was playing some Star Trek Online, and
yeah,
I haven't been on it for a few months, and I did that really, really silly thing where I gave Cryptic some money and ended up buying the buyouts to actually catch up to what I missed out on. And one of the perks was a Mariposa medical vessel.
Yes.
Now, I have had a look at this one, yes. Now, what I don't understand, now there's been loads and loads and loads of backlash on this from when they were first previewed. I think it was at New York Comic Con or New York and whatever it was, end of last year.
Yes.
Where they showed off the first 6 issues.
I think it was up to like Strike. 6 or 10 or something.
I think it was up to Strike, which would be
Titan
6.
And stuff like that.
Yeah. And the first thing that everybody was looking at, going, "Oh my god, it's gold."
Always believe in your soul.
Now, I looked at the Star Trek Online reference. It's silver. I have looked at the renders that Dave Blass shared out on social media. It's silver. I've looked at the concept sketches that John Eves did. It's silver. Even the friggin' box, it's silver. Now, when everybody moaned online about it being gold, they turned around and said that's how it was from the VFX model. And I'm looking at it going, this seems to be their kind of...
it's their go-to.
They said the same thing about the Titan's engines. They said the same thing about the F and a few other bits. Now, when we actually get inside... it has a slightly gold hue to it, but bearing in mind these orthos were created with a slightly warm light because it's in the Reiter Nebula, which is fucking yellow, for crying out loud.
Yes.
That's why. So I'm a bit frustrated because, do you know what? It goes back to what we said in the last couple of episodes, which is it just seems to be down to the cheapest possible way with not an awful amount of care and attention at the details.
I think, though, right, when you look at the box right there, it's silver. Now, it could be one of two things, okay? One, how it's being coloured on the box, because the colouring is slightly faded on the boxes, right?
Yeah, possibly. But that doesn't explain why it's also silver on the magazine.
Or the original model was silver, i.e. the model that they've used for the photo shoots for this could have been the prototype.
Possibly.
It was silver, and then someone at Fanhome went, but the ship is gold in the show.
Yeah.
Without actually realising that things reflect things.
Especially metal. Even if it's a shiny surface, it still reflects light.
The Titan was gold in Picard Season 3 because it was in the same nebula as the Eleos.
Yep.
So what worries me is, they had a remarkable model, and I think this is a good model.
Yep,
okay?
I agree.
And then they have actually gone to the effort of spraying them gold to make it more screen accurate. And everyone's probably gone, why?
Yes, exactly.
Why?
So, with that tiny little rant out of the way,
Yes.
let's do our normal sequence of things. So the experience, we're going to talk about the magazine, and we're going to talk about the model. So first things first, experience. Let's keep this one really nice and short. You were gallivanting in California, so you weren't around to receive it. But
I was on a top secret mission
with that
for
being
Section
said,
31.
again, never had an issue. Arrived a day early. Never had an issue with Yodel. I know our dear friends in America have now got. I think it's FedEx. I want to say
they use FedEx. Yes,
they've now switched to FedEx, and they're actually getting them within 2 or 3 days of them actually shipping. Whereas for some reason over here, we get them shipped on a Tuesday, and they don't get picked up to the following Tuesday, and then they arrive at the end of the week. So mine was marked shipped yesterday.
I will say. Because I was on a top secret mission for the good version of Section 31, there was an issue with payment, which was entirely my fault. They held it, money came in, they took the money, they shipped it. It was actually surprisingly easy to intercept the dispatch and go, actually, would you mind delivering it to this address?
Yeah.
On this specific date. So this model was in the van in my town to be delivered within an hour. I went on to Yodel and I said, please deliver it on this date to this address.
Yep.
And they just did it. And on the day, bang on the time they said it was going to be delivered, it was there. So we give Yodel all the stick in the world sometimes, but all props to them when it came to this. When it came to not having them yeet it across my back door and be left there for a month, they got the message, they took it back to the warehouse and then sent it to the right address 2 weeks later where it was kept safely. So all props to them.
Yep, I think so far, all the experience. I think the only bugbear that I have is that they get marked as shipped on a Tuesday and they don't get picked up to the following Wednesday, which is just a frustration because it's like,
if they said it has been dispatched from the warehouse on this date, we would have more of an understanding. So if we got the email to say, good news, Fanhome, we have dispatched it from our warehouse. It's now in the hands of our delivery service, who will contact you when it is ready to ship.
Well, saying that, it hasn't even dispatched the warehouse because it hasn't been collected yet. That's my bugbear. My bugbear is they're marking them as shipped on the Tuesday, and it's like Yodel don't pick them up until the following Wednesday. So they sit in the warehouse for just over a week. Because it's like if they mark them as shipped on a Tuesday, they get picked up on Tuesday or Wednesday, they'll be with us 2 or 3 days later.
Yeah, Yodel are very quick, I will say.
I have to say, they're very. I mean, normally it's 48 hours after it's been picked up.
Yep.
For me, I think they normally recommend 72. So that I'll get it. Your package is going to arrive on Friday, and it seems to be turning up on Thursday.
When I get an email at or a text message at 3 a.m. from Yodel when I'm gallivanting, and I'm like, oh no, and I have to quickly do it. Yeah, I mean that's fast. That is if I can't even catch up because they are doing it that fast. Fanhome do what Fanhome do. Estimated delivery, the 73rd of July. And you're like, okay, that's fine. And then the next day, and then the next day, good news, we're 500 yards from your home. And you're like, oh.
I get why Fanhome do that. Fanhome are doing that just to set expectations because they know they're not going to get picked up for a week.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's what it is. But they know they're not.
I think of it though as a very pleasant surprise because they manage your expectations and then they go, aha, we've done a Scotty and multiplied our estimations by a factor of 3 and it is outside your home right now. And you're like, ooh, surprise. I like surprises. Exactly. So props to them for that.
Experience, I think we should start rating the experience. I am going to give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Oh, do you know what? Corona. Do you know what? 4.5 out of 5 for me as well when it comes to the delivery.
Yep, I think they nailed it. Right. Magazine, my favourite subject. We have a glossy magazine this time.
Oh,
why is it we seem to get the glossy magazines for the models that I really couldn't give two shits about, and the magazines that I really, really, really like are the ones that get the shit magazine?
Because they love to torture you, my number one.
Bastards. Actually, to be fair, I was pleasantly surprised with this magazine.
Do you know what? This is one of the better magazines
Yeah,
that we have had in
absolutely. I
terms
mean,
of.
we have none of the underlying print qualities that. The other thing. Oh, actually, I did notice
I do.
I noticed something actually that I meant to say to you. So I think some people. Oh, actually, I want to hang on. Bear with me a second. Let me grab the other ones. Let me just check against the Enterprise F for a sec.
Oh,
Yes. So, something I noticed the other day was
yeah.
if you look at the inside cover, it obviously has all the copyright information. On the left column at the very, very bottom, on every magazine up until it says printed in Italy by Rotomail.
Yes.
Well, this one doesn't. It just says printed in Italy.
Oh, yes, it
So, I think one
does.
of two things have happened. Either Rotomail in Italy have had a hell of a ton of bad press, and people have been reaching out to them going, you can't print for shit. Or they've switched suppliers to somebody else in Italy.
Potentially.
Because they haven't been able to get the quality that they want.
Can I also point
I've
out?
also noticed that this cover is thicker. It's thicker.
is.
It's even thicker than the. So the last one that got a glossy cover was the Farragut,
Yeah.
and it's slightly thicker than that one.
Can I also point out, and I have never seen this before because I've probably never bothered to read it, this is not suitable for children under the age of 14 or 12 in the USA. What danger does this Starship magazine pose to young impressionable minds?
Well, you know the same. Yes, but also you could say the same thing about Kinder eggs.
Yeah. But I mean, you can chalk on a Kinder egg. You can't chalk on an whatever magazine.
No, more than a cell of a Mariposa medical vessel.
That is a thumbnail right there. That is the money shot. No. Nope. I'm going to do the rest of the review looking this way now.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Good.
But no, I have to say, actually, I'm pleasantly surprised with this magazine. It again, print quality is top notch. The imagery, I don't know why, but the imagery in this one just seems to look a little
so clear.
It seems to be sharper.
Yeah.
Than previous ones. So I'm hoping it's a case that every magazine going forward, because there are some really important ships coming forward. The Shrike next month. We've got the Enterprise G. We've got the Excelsior 2 and a few others. Yeah, that model looks sexy as hell. Anywho, so a magazine layout is exactly the same as it is before. You obviously have your title page. You have a little bit of an overview with a sexy 3D render. Yeah. And that is then followed up by your orthos, followed then up by the designing story, which there was some nice little tidbits in this because
I was really interested in this.
I had completely forgotten that it's a John Eves.
Right.
You didn't because you're a John Eves fanboy, but
yes, I am. I am.
Did you have his autograph somewhere?
Yes, I do know that. Yes, I do.
It's a very nice, kind person gave you that.
Am I friends with him? Yes, I am. Did I wish him a happy birthday? Yes, I did, because I'm a butt kisser. But in all seriousness, no. This screams the Phoenix class, as I found out. This screams John Eves and Doug Drexler.
Yeah, 100%.
For one simple fact.
It's blue.
No. No. You look at this vessel, and the first thing, when I first saw this vessel in Picard, when I saw it in Star Trek Online, the first thing I looked at, I went, that's a 24th century NX-01. I looked at that and I went, yeah, it's got all the design elements that John Eves would put on a 24th century NX-01. And you can tell that Doug Drexler has gone over it with a fine-tooth comb and just added all the P-38 Mustang and all the various
the little winglets and,
winglets for stabilization and everything like that. And I was like, this is pure John Eves. This is John Eves at his best. And I just sat there, and I will forever say that this is a 24th century NX-01. It has all the hallmarkings of that. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but the one thing you can always say about a John Eves design is it is instantly recognizable as a John Eves design. Same with Doug Drexler. A Doug Drexler design is instantly recognizable as a Drexler design. So, yeah.
No, I really like this. I mean, the only things I don't like about this ship, and it's not really seen in the I don't know if it's not really seen in the magazine. I don't know if it's a Doug thing or if it was a production thing. But when you look at all of the concept renderings and all the concept drawings, all of the text, let's say text on the ship, right, is in a single line across the top of this ridge of the saucer above the dish, right? Where it has SS Eleos XII, and then it's a space, and then it's NAR 5091. There you go. Yeah. And I think that looks really nice. Now, the other thing I also really love, which isn't on this model, and I kind of wished it is on these winglets, where you have the Mariposa butterfly with a medical cross and an M to re-emphasize. It's missing. Do you know what? I have to say, Jeffrey Mandel did a phenomenal job designing that butterfly. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous thing. It's so simple yet so recognizable, and it's also a nice little nod back to season 2, where they're in that clinic. Yeah. It's that nice little nod back. But again, it's one of those things that's just missing from the ship. And every version in this magazine, with the exception of Doug Drexler's 3D model, which we do get to see the front on here, has it laid out that way. So I don't know if it's a Doug thing, if Doug decided that it would work better that way, whether it was a production, but I wished it had stayed as it had done in Netherlands.
I think with the way that TV production is, I think the main detail of this vessel when it comes to actual CGI shots is the forward 3/4 of the vessel.
Yeah,
that is the essential. What I mean by that is when you look at.
Sorry to interrupt. It's silver.
Exactly.
Just reiterating that one.
And the Brassard collectors are orange, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But the hero shots are the 4 3/4 of the vessel, center left, center right. That's mostly how he's it. The only time you see the rear is when it's being yeeted towards the Titan, and that is so brief that to render something in that detail at the back, it just would have been a waste of time when they're up against it. So I get it, but I'm like you, and I would have liked to either have seen the medical snake that we have seen from All Good Things and various other Starfleet medical things.
It's on the side of every ambulance worldwide. It's a symbol that is very indicative.
But the Starfleet version. Yeah, but the Starfleet version.
We see it in season 1.
Anytime there's every time there's a Starfleet medical in any Star Trek episode, they have that, and they have it on. Hang on.
I'm pretty sure it was on some of those. It was on the. That's the cryo sticker.
Yeah.
Hang on. That's.
Any sick bay would have the Starfleet medical insignia because that's their core.
That's transporter. Yeah.
Yeah, Starfleet medical.
Yeah. So it was being used on other things.
But that is Starfleet medical. This is a civilian ship, so yeah, I would have appreciated if they had the time. Which I think what we need to see, right? And this is what I would love to see going forward. And I know it's a bit of a chew and a bit of an ache, but an episode premieres, right? Which is fine. However, when you look at shows like Stranger Things, they premiere, and then what happens is the studio goes back and they adjust certain things in the episodes. They'll adjust the sound, they'll adjust the lighting, they'll just make it, they will look at the premiere critiques and they'll go, maybe this scene was a little too dark. So then what they will do, they will look at the original file, edit it, and then re-upload it to the streaming service. And I would love, specifically for scenes like Picard season 1 ending with the fleet, where they had all those Zheng-He type ships, they had all those types of ships. They go back and, we know why they were there, because they were up against it. COVID was happening. They had a week to get this. So it's literally control AC, control AC, control AC, right? That's the simplest form. They could have gone back and they could have retconned it, and they could have put more ships in. Yep. They could have went, we've listened, there you go. The new version has this, and this, right? They could go back and they could add this extra detail if they wanted to. But we all know that Paramount wouldn't give them the budget to do that. They wouldn't allow them to do that. So tiny little details like the Mariposa logo and the cross on the winglet. Yeah. But when you look at it in the book, it just adds an extra bit of personality to the side of this ship.
Well, they're not on. I mean, those details are not on Doug's studio model.
No, they're not, but it would have been nice to have those tiny little details on there to go, yeah, this is, this is the organization. Oh, that's a callback to Cristobal Rios when he stayed on Earth and he founded the Mariposa, Doctors Without Borders, blah, blah, blah. It would have been nice, I think, is what we're trying to say. Yeah. And I mean, I'm looking at the concept drawing here by Eves, and it's got the Mariposa logo, the cross and everything like that, and the more detail on the side about Eleos and stuff. And it just looks nicer. Like when you look at the escape pod hatches and stuff like that, it just looks more detailed, but it looks more aged as well.
Yes, I think that is very true. So I think the thing that I found fascinating with this is obviously it started off with some rather un-Star Trek-like ship sketches, I think is the easiest way of putting it. When you look back on page 10 and you look at those very early ones, which kind of almost look very un-Star Trek. They look very Star Wars.
It looks very much like either Star Wars or Section 31.
Yeah, true. And I'm looking and you can kind of see. So I think what happened was they designed that and nobody liked it. And then back in when John Eves worked on Star Trek 2009, he had pitched or proposed a very similar looking ship with TOS style nacelles and everything else, which I think then ended up becoming the foundation to what this became.
Do you know what when I saw that in this
very
magazine?
Much like the.
Go on, say it. Oh, say it.
I can't remember the name of the ship from
USS Franklin.
Franklin, thank you. Yes, it's very Franklin-esque.
Yes.
Oh, that one.
I think that's where the idea came from.
In between the nacelles, it's very Franklin-esque, isn't it?
It is very Franklin-esque. I do love the middle drawing though. That's very Star Trek Online for me.
And it's also very NX-01 because if you look at that deflector is very NX-01.
Oh yeah. This is a 24th century NX-01. I don't care what anyone says. I would have loved it, right? Because in the magazine, I mean, we won't go into the spoilers of the magazine, but in the magazine, they wanted an older, outdated ship that's doing all these medical runs. I would have loved it if Mariposa was like, look, we need whatever vessels that we can find in mothball because we are medical. We just need anything. Yeah. And they just pulled out an old NX-01 and just went, do you know what? That'll do. Yeah, we could fill it full of medical supplies.
Surprise! Lots of medical surprises.
Lots of medical surprise ketamine, but we can
Surprise,
we can, but we can just use that. And I think, like, when you think about it, in the era that this is, a medical organization, like, think about when 2401 is set. You've had the Dominion War, you've had the destruction of Utopia Planitia,
and Romulus.
You've had the Star Trek Prodigy Divine.
Yeah.
The
Diviner.
what was it called? The Diviner. So you've had a lot of ships that have sort of met their own demise, and it's sort of like, we need ships fast. We have got an entire.
Well, you forget. I mean, I suppose it was. Well, funny enough, I was watching it earlier. It's been a decade since we've seen the Borg, so I think that Starfleet as a whole are kind of taking themselves back a little bit from building warships, and it's 25 years since the Dominion War.
That ended in the
2380.
That ended in the 2370s.
Okay, let's say 30 years.
30 years. Yeah.
So I mean, by the sounds of it, there hasn't really been an awful lot that happened in between the 2375 ish to the 2400. So I'm wondering if there was just a period where Starfleet wasn't really doing an awful lot of new ships. We know that they were just rehashing old ships and refitting old ships, because that's how we got the Connie 3, for example.
I think they just had. I think they just had. I mean, judging from, I know Prodigy is set in the 2380s, but they had resources, they had resource, and they had supply issues. And I think that, when you are an organization, like you are recognized by Starfleet, but you are an organization outside of Starfleet, you don't get top of the line vehicles.
No.
You get the hand-me-downs, you get the second-hand stuff, you get whatever is there. And they would have gone, look, we have got this mothball yard, take a ship, we can fuel it, we can make sure that it's running, but just take it. And that's what I love about this.
So obviously, actually, you might be able to answer this one for me, because I don't know. The registry for this is NAR.
Yeah.
Was it 59019?
Yeah, same as the Raven.
Is it?
Yeah. Bear with me. I will confirm. The Raven was a civilian ship, so it was designated NAR.
Is that what NAR stands for? Because obviously,
I'm going to find out. It's never confirmed in canon, but the Joys of Memory Alpha.
NAR was a type of registry prefix used by the United Nations, the United Federation of Pilots, and Sci-Fi. Right. Okay.
I think it's a non-affiliate or something like that. It's sort of, it basically states that this is a
Federation
military. It's not Federation. It's a non-military. Non-military vessel. Yeah. So because when you look at it,
what I find interesting is, obviously, when you look at the ships that have had an NAR registry,
2
of them have been in Picard.
Yeah,
the last Rainer is NAR 93131, I think it is, if I remember correctly. 93131. Yeah.
So it's according to Rick Sternbach, we all know Rick Sternbach, the NAR prefix indicates a merchant type of vessel, further stating that the meaning behind this goes back to quote, Mike and me and others in the National Association of Rocketry. So this is in the Star Trek Voyager technical manual.
Because we see the Raven in that, don't we?
Yeah, NER is a type of registry prefix used by the United Nations. NER was a prefix of DY 500 class colony ships of United Nations registry. And then there was also NER starships in Star Trek The Next Generation. So basically, these are non-military civilian craft. Yeah, not non-military civilian craft. Yeah.
So one of the things I also love about this magazine as well is that this ship seems to have 4 different nacelle variations when you actually look at it.
Really, I will say this about this magazine. After a lull of information
This is
from
great.
the last couple of issues, this is brilliant information.
I hate the first nacelles. The nacelles we first see on the first sketch that John Eves did on page 12 look really stupid. They kind of look like they're upside down. I hate them.
It looks like the Clark from Discovery.
Yeah, they just look a bit shite. I don't know. They just look crap. They look like they're upside down. Anywho, the second set of nacelles are obviously smaller versions of what we ended up with, which I love. And then obviously you've got the TOS. But I have to say, if somebody was to put a handle on those nacelles, it reminds me of the 2009 phaser.
Yes.
Stick a hand on it, and it could be a phaser.
I see it. Yes. The ramp scoops just flip when you want to kill someone.
Yeah,
I love that.
You could literally stick a handle on it, and it literally looks like the phaser from 2009.
Wow. You've got a good eye, Mike number 1, because
I don't hate. I don't hate it. I really like it. But I'm wondering if that's what John Eves. I'm wondering if that's what John Eves used, because obviously he was the only Star Trek person to work on 2009. So I'm wondering if that's where this kind of concept for these nacelles came from. It's because he did a lot of weapons design and all kinds of stuff for 2009. And I'm wondering if he just there was a phaser rifle, for example, that would have been used that we never got to see. And did he just take the hilt and the trigger and the handle and that off and turn them into nacelles? Because again, that could also be a very cool phaser rifle.
It really could when you look at it.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh my goodness! What was I going to say to you as well? Yeah, the other fact that I really enjoyed about this magazine was that it confirms that we never got to see the actual bridge of the Eleos. Did you not see that part? No. So, according to the magazine, Deck 1 of the Eleos, the bridge, was out of action. And what we saw was a retrofitted Deck 2, which they jerry-rigged to be a bridge, which is what the front window is at the front of the ship. And I was like, that's genius. But when you look at the bridge of the Eleos, it is just a bridge module from a Connie 3 and a Sagan reversed.
Yes.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. Again, it's all those little details that we are really kind of coming to light with this magazine. Which this is what the magazine is supposed to be. Fanhome
should be doing. Yes, this is how every episode
we already know.
Yeah. This is you shouldn't just be looking at Memory Alpha and Control C and V. You should be speaking to these people on the phone or on Zoom or something like that and getting these little nitty-gritty, because this is what sells the magazines. Like, if you just buy this for the ship, fair enough. If you buy it for the ship and the magazine, because like with Eagle Moss, we had little, facts that no one ever knew about. This is what we love doing. We love... I mean, yes, it's only 15 pages, but it's 15 pages where I'm learning new things. I didn't know it was a Phoenix.
Yeah, this one is actually a magazine where there is 15 pages of actually really good content.
I didn't know it was affiliated with Mariposa. I didn't know it was a Phoenix class. I didn't know that. No.
Well, we know it's a Mariposa medical vessel because Jack literally turns around in episode 1 when he hails and says, "This is the Mariposa medical vessel."
Does he? I must have missed that after
before they get boarded and he tries to bribe the people with
yes,
Romulan ale and phaser rifles. He literally hails them. He literally answers the hail of, "This is Mariposa medical vessel."
Yeah,
Mariposa medical vessel.
Yeah. Sorry.
Anyway,
my mistake. Yeah.
So yes. Anyway, magazine, great work. We love it. It's what we need to see more of. Now, model.
Oh my!
First off, the stand. Let's talk about this. We haven't spoken about stands for a little while. I love this one. There's a little bit of wiggle.
Do you want anxiety? Do you want anxiety?
Right, yes.
Look at this. Look at this, folks. How is this for a stand?
Now,
And you're thinking, no,
What
Michael, it's
what
just
I'm
pressing
loving
on the
about,
knob.
right? What I love about this, okay, is we have a stand that is substantial. Now, this is a heavy ship. It's also rather large.
I will say,
Um,
right, for
it's
all its
wide.
flaws,
It's like
yeah,
me. It's very wide.
there's just more of you to love, my dear.
But it's a very wide model compared
It's
to
all
the
about the girth, dear.
exactly. So, and because the entire top half is die cast, she's quite a
Mhm.
heavy model.
It
Um,
is.
so to have a stand that you can quite literally do that with,
Flip it
and
the
it
other
ain't
side.
and it ain't
Flip
gonna
it.
come out. I'm gonna hold
Yes.
it because mine wobbles
Look
a
at
little bit.
this. It's
Um,
amazing.
it's nice, and it's because, and I think part of it lends down to the design of the ship because you have these struts that run at an angle, and it has to kind of clip over the top of them, which is essentially what it does it. But I think, for bearing in mind, we had stand gate at the beginning of this model series, didn't we? We had stand gate. Well, I mean, let's face it, the Sagan stand was awfully diabolical. But yeah, so you got these little kind of clips that kind of clip over those bulkheads.
I have been a collector of these starships since 2013. I have not seen these nubs since 2013.
No,
Well done. Bring back the nubs.
well, I think it's just down to the design of the ship. I think because you have those bulkheads that sit out, the model would either have to do what? Do you remember the Discovery shuttlecraft, where it's just a plate that it sits on?
Yeah.
It would either
Yeah.
have to do that, or it would have to clip over and round. And I'm glad they decided to do clip over and round. But anyway, it's nice that we've got over stand gate and we now have decent stands. Now, the model itself, other than the fact that it's the wrong bloody colour, it's pretty good.
I have some unfortunate news, though. For the first time in 5 issues,
Yeah,
I finally have misaligned
windows.
windows
Yes.
on my vessel.
And
I
I
am
have
very sad.
very misaligned windows. I mean, if
My
I can,
streak is ruined.
I mean, look,
Oh my goodness.
we're talking they're almost like 3 or 4 mil out of whack. Yeah, yours are the same. And, we can't complain too much. It is a mass produced model at the end of the day.
But look at
Um,
the detail on the saucer.
But what I was going to say,
Look at
what
that.
I don't understand is how can you fuck up the windows when you've got, you know, you got essentially warning tape, red and yellow chevrons that run right across, and they're perfectly parallel. And the middle parts of those discs are yellow, and the bridge is perfectly painted. And you
I
have
think
what is the shuttle bay is perfectly painted. Yet for some reason, windows we can't seem to get straight.
look, I think I know what it is. And
It's
I am
because
not a machine
it's going on
on an angle.
a boob. No, those
It's going on
silicon.
a boob. Oh,
The
yes.
silicon boobs.
Silicon
Tell you why I
boobs.
can
Yes.
describe it. The silicon boobs that they did, the pads. That's the word I was looking for. The silicon pads that look like boobs, and then you pad on your stencil, and then you pad on the top. And I think that's what it is. It's being pad done, and it's just out of whack and out of calibration.
I think I agree with you. I think the silicon memories cause a lot of issues on surfaces that are curved or angled.
Correct.
Because when you look at a flat surface on any of the models, they are precision
Yep.
perfect. And this is like Mike number one has just said there, the landing pad at the aft of the bridge unit
Yep.
is perfect. The warning tape on the saucer, perfect. The dividing strut, the middle strut,
Even
perfect.
the impulse engines, which are yellow again, orange again, but there's tiny little impulse engines on the underside of the nacelles, and even they're painted spot on. So,
Where? Oh my goodness. You are right.
so how
Oh,
can they get those details right, but they can't seem to get the windows? Because no way that can't be pad printed. That definitely can't. That would have to be someone with a brush or something.
can we give a shout out though?
What
I know it's
to the poor bastard in the factory somewhere with a paintbrush that's painting these on?
yes, do better. No, can we give a shout out though? Because we all love it. If you are an avid Star Trek ship collector, I want to give a shout out to the Aztecing on this model.
It
is
gorgeous.
Mwah! Yes, it's gold. I don't care. We'll overlook that. The Aztecing, it shimmers, it hides in certain light, it reflects
I
different.
particularly like the Aztecing around the blue.
Yeah, look at that.
It just looks
Look
really good.
at
Yeah, it's
look
gorgeous.
at the reflection. It is and even on the bottom of the saucer.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome.
Stunning. And I'm going to say this: transparent nacelles are always a win for me. But the Picard collections are the wrong color.
They are, but I'm wondering if,
like the Stargazer.
Yeah. So the only criticism I have is that when you look at it front on, okay,
yes,
you have windows and a window, which are not painted. Especially as that window is probably the most important one because that is Deck 2's jerry-rigged bridge.
Even if it was just a black stripe.
Even if it was white, even if it was just painted white or blue, the same blue as the dome on the top.
Yeah.
Even if it was that, I wouldn't have cared. But that's the only thing that lets this model down other than the colour and the odd misaligned window.
I like the weathering of the registration as well.
Yeah.
I think they've with the size of the vessel, with the fact that it is a mass-produced product.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this, if we're going to rate in terms of like the paint scheme and stuff, I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5.
2.5 out of 5. I'm going to give it 2.5. I think for me, it's on par. Other than the fact it's the wrong color, ignore the fact it's the wrong color for a minute. It's on par with every other ship that I've had, with the exception of the Farragut. If
it was the right color, this would be a 4 because it's gold, and I don't care what anyone says. It's gold. It is probably the same gold as the Crossfield, more or less. If it was silver, this would be a 4 out of 5. Yes, misaligned windows. We're always going to get misaligned windows because of the silicon memories, but the detail is exquisite, but it is just let down by the color because it also obstructs certain details like the RCS thrusters and stuff that would be more prominent on a silver backing, like the registry, the name, the color blue. It just...
I'm wondering if there's going to be anybody that's going to repaint theirs silver.
It would be a lot of effort.
It would be a lot of effort, but there's plenty.
You would have to strip it down and read. Yeah, I mean, a more professional model maker, but you would have to literally strip it down to the bare skin and then start again from the foundation up.
Yeah, because I'm trying to work out. Yeah, so the nacelles are they're just glued on, so they would come.
They are glued on. Yeah.
The strut bar across the back looks like it kind of slots in and is glued.
There is a,
and then the base of the underside of the saucer is so it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 5 parts if you include. Yeah, it looks like there's 5 parts. You've got the die-cast top, the plastic underside of the saucer, the strut bar, and the two nacelles.
It's, for me, this is just an NX-01.
It is.
It's a homage,
if anything. An homage to the NX-01. But all in all, look, other than the fact it's the wrong colour, which I'm going to look past, I don't think it's a horrific model. I think the entire model as a whole, by the time you include the magazine, you include the stand, I'm going to rate it a 4 out of 5 as a whole. Because I think the magazine and the stand, I think the stand is a 5 out of 5 and the magazine is a 4.5 out of 5.
The stand is perfect.
Yeah. And I think by the time you take those and then the kind of 2.5 to 3 that the model gets, I think that gives it a 4 out of 5.
It's a solid 4 out of 5.
Yeah, solid 4 out of 5.
You know, look, we have had large models, we have had small models like the Farragut. This is a perfect size for this type of vessel. It's perfectly detailed. The magazine has information that I had no clue about, which
and
I
there's a lot of
really,
information in that I didn't know about either, which is, again, it's just one of
yeah.
those things. It's nice to have it. It's what we should be getting every time.
Yeah.
You know,
the stand is super secure. Yes, the paint scheme is wrong in terms of the base hull. I can overlook that because this is it's a beautiful model of a ship that I was really not looking forward to getting and really not looking forward to viewing. But when you look at it, you go, I can really appreciate the tiny details and the effort that went into designing this ship. And I love it. And the more I look at it, the more tiny details I find. Like, you look at those impulse engines on the back of the nacelle pylons. You look at the pod at the back, which has got like a little impulse engine on it, and then you've got the cargo bays, the windows underneath, the sensor door. It's just it's a remarkable little model.
I think the thing for me is, I think the photos that were posted online by Fanhome, obviously on social and their website, made it look even more gold than it actually is.
The colouring, I think the colouring was a little bit more saturated than what it should have been.
Or they've edited it and boosted it. It kind of reminds me of, for any Apple nerds out there like me, it kind of reminds me of the Starlight colour. It looks almost silver, but it's slightly off and it's a slightly warmer hue, which I think the actual model itself kind of tends to more. It doesn't look, depending on the light, it doesn't actually look, it doesn't look, gold as in combadge gold. Depending on the light, it's there
you go.
Yeah, put it in a blue light. No, but I mean, even me in here, and I haven't got an awful lot of blue light, it doesn't look too gold. It just looks like it's a slightly warmer hue of silver. So I'm going to kind of forgive it and look past it, I think.
Yeah.
But I think all
I'm
in
going
all,
to call it weathering.
Yes, we're going to call it weathering or environmentaling. That's what we're going to call it, environmentaling.
As ship collectors, we are used to plastic turning yellow. This is pre-yellowed for us, so we don't have to worry in 20 years' time.
So we are 5 through 20. We've got 15 more to go.
So far.
So, well, let's just say they've only guaranteed 20 for now. I think let's wait and see what happens. But next month we have the USS Shrike, which I'm really looking forward to the magazine on that one, because there's not. Why are you shaking your head? It's the only alien vessel.
You called it USS Shrike.
Sorry, I did, didn't I? The Shrike. Sorry. Let's get that one right. It's because I'm currently looking at the webpage and it says USS Titan. The Shrike. Well, I'm trying to quickly see, because I did briefly see some. Yes, there it is. I briefly saw some photos that somebody posted in that lovely Facebook group that we're all both part of the Excelsior 2.
I'm currently trying to find the full list.
I don't know. I don't need the full list. I was just seeing because obviously Fanhome have only shown images of the first 6. They haven't shown images of the next 6.
So, after the Shrike, is it the G or the Lunar class Titan? Because on my list on Trek Core, it's the Shrike, then it's the Lunar class, the Connie 3G,
and then the Excelsior 2. It's every 4 issues as an XL.
So the Titan is after the Shrike.
The Titan is after the Shrike, and then it's the G.
Yeah. And then the Excelsior 2.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so hang on. So February was the SS Eleos. Then March is the Shrike. Oh, it's a month behind, isn't it? Sorry. So April is the Shrike. May is the Lunar class. June is the Connie 3 XL.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to. And then July is the Excelsior 2. Because the next XL after that is the Voyager A.
I'm really looking forward to the Excelsior 2. However, I am worried it is going to be a small model because this seems to be a running thing with Excelsior class ships in any like collection. They are always just long and thin.
Someone on the Facebook group that we're both part of, the Eagle Moss Fanhome, did post a photo of the USS Excelsior 2 NCC 42037, but it looks like a wank 3D print.
Let me get the official photos.
There aren't any official photos. That's what makes me think
there is.
Really?
Because
was there?
Yeah. Fanhome released them. Bear with me. Fanhome,
because they're not on Fanhome's website. They've only got the first 6 listed.
Here we go. Yes. So here is the Dauntless, the Excelsior 2.
Can you WhatsApp me the link?
I'm doing it right now because there we go. So so they released the Titan, the Excelsior, the G, and the Excelsior 2. And when I'm looking at the Excelsior 2, it looks smaller than.
Oh, okay. Because that Excelsior 2 is the image that someone posted on Facebook that said looked like a wank 3D print.
Yeah, that's actually the model.
That has me nervous. Oh, they're going with a blue plastic deflector. The deflector, people.
Just
the Dauntless looks cool, though.
The Dauntless looks cool.
I'm not sure about the deflector on that either, just being a blue strip.
That could have been plastic. Like the Eagle Moss version of the Voyager Dauntless was.
Yeah.
That could have just been plastic. The Titan... Look, we have had a crowd petitioned lunar class in the old regular size of Eagle Moss ships. We have had a Star Trek Lower Decks XL version of the Titan with the Lower Decks color scheme. And now we're going to have a mid-size live action scheme Titan.
Yeah, I mean... It's going to be... I'll grab it. It's up here.
He's grabbing... Oh, look at that. He's actually grabbing a Titan on his Titan seat.
Oh, yes, a Titan.
What irony. What irony and product placement.
By the way, these are fantastic seats. If you need a decent chair and you don't mind spending the money...
Secret Labs, you know where to call.
All right, hang on. The stand's a bit naff. It's just going to be that in a different colour scheme.
And slightly bigger.
Yeah. No, I don't think it is.
Yeah, it is. It's bigger than that. That's the regular size Titan.
No,
that's the Lower Decks one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's going to be the same size as that.
It's the same size. It's going to have plastic nacelles.
Yes,
clear plastic.
It's not a cartoon.
Yeah, but I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, because I said this to Mike when they announced this. And I said to Mike, again, like this is going to be the 3rd time that we're having this vessel. And it's like, you could have, you could have gone
so many other ships out there.
The Intrepid, you could have done a Sutherland class, a Ross class.
Yeah.
You know,
there are so many other ships out there that I think would have made better models. I just don't understand why the lunar class, and I suppose it could just be because it's for a namesake, because it's a Titan.
But if you're going to do that, right? If you are going to do that, have the Shangri-La class as well.
Yeah,
do it. Like fill the lineage of Titans. Same with the Gazer, right? Same with the Stargazer, right?
Yeah.
We've already got an XL constellation. That's fine. Why not have the TOS version? It was on screen. It was gold, but it was on screen. So have that version of the Stargazer. Do that one instead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I think this could have been a Dudestat. This could have been the Intrepid.
Well, this is it. There is no Dudestat model.
There's going to be one, but it's the wrong name.
Which one is it? Because I can't.
It
It's not on the list.
is.
Oh yes, the Trumbull. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm looking at the wrong list.
yeah.
Yeah, which should have not been the Trumbull. It should have been the
The Intrepid,
Intrepid.
because it was the meanest ship
Yes,
other
it was
than the
the angry
Shrike.
ship.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think that. Yeah, I think it's a shame. I'm wondering if there's a reason behind that.
I think, look, I mean, I will never turn down a model. I
No.
think they just had the tooling from the Lunar class from Eagle Moss and Hero Collector, and they just went, well, the only XL we've had is the lower decks version with the different color scheme. Why not? Why don't we just do a live action version with
Yeah,
that with
it's
proper nacelles?
yeah.
That's what I think. But after that, we get some brand new ships. We get the Excelsior 2, we get the Dauntless, and we're going to get the Prodigy finally. We are going to get a Duja Start eventually, but I think it opens the doors because I think this is going to go past 20 issues.
I hope
I
it does.
genuinely believe it does. And I think they're going to look at it, and I think there is a very, very large possibility we're going to get a new starbase.
Yeah, because I would love to see the Earth space dock.
I think we're going to get it. I don't think it's going to be in a year or two. I maybe think end of 26, 27.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to get a new Earth space dock. I think that the demand is there because the space station's always sold really well. Starbase 1 was a little bit because of the size of it. But I think the demand was there for more space stations. I mean, we've had DS9. I think they need to do they could do the space station from the motion picture. They could do a dry dock. Imagine selling dry docks. Imagine like Earth Station McKinley or the motion picture dry dock or something like that. How cool would that be to have that?
Yep. I also just thinking about it. I think they missed a trick with the Lunar class.
How so?
Well, there were 4 Lunar class vessels in Picard.
Quite a lot. There was the Lunar. There was
The Lunar.
there was a few others that Dave Blass.
Yeah, there was the Lunar. There was the Taranganu.
To Memory Alpha.
But anyway, I think they should have done either the USS Taranganu, or the USS Luna, which would have been different enough because it would be a different ship with a different registry and a different name to warrant having a new model.
We could have had Europa,
yes,
Luna,
yeah,
Oberon, or Titan, and they went with the Titan.
Yeah. Well, or the Taranganu, which was which was in Picard. It was named
Taranganu, yeah.
Well, I mean, there's
uncertain ships. We've got Amalthea, Ariel, Callisto, Sharon, Galatea, Ganymede, Hibalia, Lepidus, Law, Protus, Rhea, Taranganu, and Triton.
Yeah. So there were, there's lots of.
There could have been a lot more, but again, this opens it. If they extend the issues, it opens the door to the Ross, to the Sutherland, to the Gagarin, the Krella Gagarin class.
Yeah. There's lots. I mean, there are still so many ships that never got made first time round.
Yeah.
So I think we just need to be hopeful.
We're always hopeful here.
We're always hopeful.
We're the positive Trekkies.
We are, for some reason. No, I'm joking. I think let's be positive. Let's see what happens because we know 20 issues are confirmed. We know for a fact there is demand because they've now done a second batch of subscriptions, which are now live. So if you haven't subscribed yet and you haven't got your model yet, you can now subscribe. I would thoroughly look. I mean, so far out of the 5, there are 2 ships that, I'm not too fussed about. They're nice models, but I think that's part of the sacrifice of doing it. Out of the 20 ships, there are 2 out of 20 that I don't really care about. One of which was the Eleos, and the other one was the Farragut.
Yeah.
And it would, it still works out cheaper to pay for them in the long run than it does to buy them outright. So I think,
not like them, sell them,
flog them. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to sell my Farragut. To be fair, I know. So yeah, I think, look, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the series, because I think it's, the more people that buy these models, the more chance we're going to get another 5, 10, 15, 20, even more. Let's see what happens. The more people that subscribe, the better, because it's guaranteed then, isn't it? They know exactly how much is coming in. They know exactly how much is...
There's so much left to, like I said, you've got the space stations, you've got like the shuttle, the variation, you've got the shuttles, you've got the variations of the Sagan class, which were a different name, which escapes me at the moment. You've got ships from Star Trek Online that were made canon. You've got, you could do another Akira class. Well,
you want that just because you love the Akira class.
But you could do one that's proper, with a proper name and everything like that, because it was in Picard season 2.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we just need to be hopeful. I think that we have to wait and see what happens.
Yes.
I think the other thing as well, for our dear friends in America, we also need to see what happens. Because obviously these are imported from somewhere. So there is obviously that headache which Fanhome have yet to address.
They've been very quiet on that.
Yeah. So look, I think there's lots to be positive for. Look, I think at the end of the day, I'm just grateful that we have these models. We have this series, and it's something to be grateful for. It
is, because when there was a lull, collections were very unfulfilled, and
look what happened after Eagle Moss went bust. Everyone went stir crazy, and they went mad because ship prices jumped through the ceiling. I mean, I remember trying to find a Voyager J, and they were £300 on eBay.
And now you look at Real Merch, who is finding surplus stock of, say, the Enterprise B and going, that's £187, please.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, and you're thinking, no.
Which is annoying, because I've actually bought a couple of ships off of them when they were reasonably priced.
Yeah. But now they're looking at more demand than supply.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that there's only one old ship that I really, really want to find, and that's a Voyager XL, which is like gold dust. So
this is the joy of Fanhome, though, because Fanhome have actively said, if we reprint older molds, which ones do you want? And everyone has said Akira, the C, Space Stock, and Voyager XL.
Yeah.
And then you've got those fans that go, but that will diminish the cost of the ones I own. And I go, you would not be worried about the cost of the ones you own unless you were selling them for ludicrous amounts.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to be fair, there's one of the 31st century ships I don't own is the USS Nog, and it's now currently up at $44.99. It's a $5 off, so I might treat myself.
It's small. It is small.
I know. I mean, I have the is it Lulu Cin 16, or however you want to pronounce that. I have that. I just like the shape of it. I have that. I've obviously got Discovery A. I've got that book ship, Voyager J. That was they were the only ones, really, weren't they, that they ever did? There was just those 5.
Yeah, more or less. And the Mars class.
Did they do a Mars class model?
They did a Mars class, yeah.
Did they?
I think it was in pre-production, so there was a few prototypes out there.
No, I mean, I don't think there was a mass-produced.
No, that's what I mean. There was like a pre-production that crept out.
Yes, yeah. So, look, lots to be excited for. Lots to see what happens. For everybody watching and listening, remember you can catch up with more Clone Star podcast at our Patreon and our website, clonestarpodcast.com. And we will see you again next time for the Shrike. But until then, live long and prosper.